Hey everyone, Dockwell here, and welcome to another one of my Dota 2 hero guides. Today we're going to be taking a look at Primal Beast. So Primal Beast is the new hero that just came out in 7.31, and I'm going to go over this hero because I think it's a pretty interesting hero. I think it's already kind of been solved in some ways, like people already kind of know how to play this hero, almost more than even Marcy and stuff. They seem to sort of know the role that it's supposed to be in and how to really play it, so I'm just going to go over those kinds of things. Teach you just how to combo all the spells, how to use it, and how it can be very, very strong, especially early. This hero can be super, super scary early in the game, in the laning stage. It's almost one of the strongest heroes in the first few levels. It's actually just ridiculous how much damage this hero can put out in the beginning. So, in any case, how do we think about Primal Beast in general? What role does it play? What does it do? Well, first of all, it can actually play almost every single role except for carry. It doesn't really play carry. It doesn't really play 5 position as much, although it is kind of possible. It's more of a mid laner, off laner, or 4 position. That's kind of where it's seeming to fit in. And there's a lot of different heroes that play those 3 positions, and they kind of specialize in those 3 positions. And Primal Beast is one of them. And really, how you play this hero in all 3 positions is pretty much the same. It's all similar because of the skills. It's just how much farm you get and how you get to your items, or if you get your items quicker than otherwise. But really, otherwise, it's the same thing in all 3 lanes. You just kind of combo the spells all together. So that's the role that this hero plays. And in general, we're going to take a look at like the core role that this hero plays, because it's basically the same, it just gets more items. So we'll probably focus on mid, maybe a little bit of off lane as well. And then how do we think about Primal Beast in terms of the skills, in terms of, you know, what it does in the game? Well, first of all, I kind of already mentioned this, the laning stage is extremely, extremely good. This hero, when it first came out, was not that great. It had a pretty bad win rate, but I think people were just kind of tinkering with it, and then it got buffed in a few different ways. Kind of the numbers overall were buffed on this hero. And now, this hero is an insane laner. It's probably one of the best laners, if not the best laner in the game. It's absolutely insane. Even level 1, it's pretty strong. Level 2, level 3, this hero is ridiculous. Especially if you're going mid or you're going off lane, you get some levels in your abilities. You can honestly solo kill a bunch of heroes. Like the majority of heroes in the game you can solo kill within the first like 2 minutes. It's ridiculous what this hero can do, because there's pretty much no getting away from the hero. There's like nothing you can do other than hope that, you know, you, or basically you and your laning partner, if you're off lane, or you in the mid, have some kind of stun, some way to distance yourself from this hero, because this hero has insanely high HP, crazy damage, and it can just like dive towers early on. It's absolutely ridiculous what this hero can do. So that's what it does in the laning stage. It dominates the lane, and then coming out of the lane, it's basically a long-range initiation tool. It's kind of a pick-off tool. It's a fight-starting tool, and you want to buy BKB on this hero almost every single game. You run in, and you can pretty much just like solo kill people. You're like a constant team fighter. This hero has very, very low cooldowns on all of its spells, and we'll see that in a minute, including its ultimate. So you just constantly want to fight. You want to be constantly going in, trying to pick people off, trying to kill people, pressuring people on the map, and then scaling with basically just items that allow you to get off your abilities and do more damage with your abilities. And that's pretty much how you play this hero. That's how to conceptualize this hero. And just throughout the entire game, you want to be constantly putting pressure on the map, on the enemy with this hero. And I think you can kind of snowball games with it from almost any position, even from support positions. You can pick off people like crazy. It's really ridiculous. So that's how to think about Primal Beast in general. Now let's jump in and look at his abilities. So now that we understand Primal Beast in general, we can take a look at his abilities and see how he's able to be that kind of low cooldown brawler, really good laning stage hero like I talked about. So first we're going to take a look at Onslaught. So Onslaught, you basically just target it in a direction. You can see the AoE is huge here. So if I go over here, it kind of charges up for a little bit, and then you basically just run for the entire distance. And it's pretty crazy how far this ability can take you when you charge it up for the full duration. There's not very many other abilities that can actually make you that mobile and go that far. Pretty much like Storm Spirit or Ember Spirit Ags or something like that, you can go that far. But other than that, this hero is very, very mobile, can go really, really far, initiate really, really well. And then what you do is you can also basically go through enemies. You can stun them and do a ton of damage. It works on enemy heroes and creep waves, so you can farm them. You also can press Q again, basically when you go the full duration. So like, you don't actually have to go the full distance. You can just press Q again, and then you'll stop channeling, and you'll just charge the distance that you kind of you channeled up, or that you built up over time. The other thing that you can do is, even if you go this full distance and you and you launch yourself, you can press the stop key to just completely stop. So even though you might say, okay, well, I'm going to charge here, and you say, oh, wait, that's really bad. I'm going to press the stop key, and you just actually stop your hero, and you just stop moving, and you don't, go anywhere anymore. And that's really, really good for if you're kind of like saying, oh, we might want to go in here, but then I realize, oh, it's really bad. I just saw somebody else, like, break invis, or the smoke broke, or, whatever it is, it's not a good time. You can press stop and halt your hero. The last thing I would say about this is that you can also target where you're going to go in the middle of channeling it and while you're running as well. So even if I go over here, I can also like right click to, change direction, and then during the charge, I can also slightly spin. So even if I like start over here, I can actually hit the axe and then turn to like kind of go to the axe if I need to, even after I started charging already. So it's one of these things that it's not that you have to like aim directly at the person. You don't have to start off the skill by aiming it perfectly. You can actually kind of aim it afterwards as well, even while you're charging. So it's very good for initiations in that way. So it's very dynamic. It's a very good and interesting and unique skill in that way. So that's Onslaught. Next, we're going to look at Trample. So Trample's a pretty decent ability for doing damage. It's one of the things that makes this hero really, really hard to lane against. So what you do is you press Trample, you become disarmed, but every few units that you move, you can see there it's 140 now, but it might change in the future. Basically, every time you move some distance, you trample and you do damage in an AoE. So we can see if I press this ability and I don't move, for the duration here, I do no damage, and I actually can't attack either. So let's go over here to the axe. I can press this ability. Even though I'm clicking on the axe, I can't attack him. So basically, you trade your attack for this trample ability. So the faster you move, the actually better it is. So if I get move speed here, why don't we just get like a bunch of move speed items? So where's this? Yules. We can get, well, we could just do that. We can just press this, and then we can phase, and I just start trampling a ton. I'm doing a ton of damage there, whereas if I take these off and then I press trample, I'm not doing as much damage just because I'm not moving as quickly. So that's pretty much how trample works. You can do a ton of damage, and it also is based on your right-click damage, which synergizes with the next ability, which is Uproar. So Uproar is a pretty good ability to basically scale up your other abilities and make you do more damage. Especially with Trample, because it's an AoE, has base damage, and it does an attack multiplier there as well. So basically what happens with Uproar is, you can see there's no stacks currently. I have no like debuff or anything, but if the axe attacks me, I start getting these Uproar stacks, and I think 5 is the maximum. So yeah, basically 5 is the maximum. When I hit the maximum, I have this little like animation. It lasts for only a certain amount of time, but basically what I can do is I can press this ability, and then everyone in that AoE, so let's say the axe is over here, they're slowed, and then I have extra damage. So they're slowed for a little bit, and I'm just running after them. So you can see how this is impossible for people to escape, basically, unless they have some kind of mobility spell. So early on, if you have even 1 point in Trample, 1 point in Uproar, and you take a little bit of harass damage, 5 instances of harass damage from the enemy. They click you 5 times. You can press this, and then you can run at them, and it's very, very hard for them to escape. Once you're level 3, you can combo all of these spells together, and basically, let's see what we can do here. Say I get, 5 stacks here, and let's say I'm in the mid lane or in the side lane, so I have 5 stacks, and the axe is over here, he's just doing his own thing, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm deciding to kill the axe. So basically, this has a pretty big AoE. So I do this, axe is affected, I run in, and I do trample, and now there's nothing axe can do. He basically can't get away from me. It's absolutely ridiculous how you can combo all these spells together. The other thing is, you can combo these first 2 spells together as well, in that you can basically press your Onslaught, and then press trample during it, and then when you go, when you launch yourself and, you travel the entire distance, you charge the entire distance. When you have your trample active during the charge time, you are doing damage in that AoE because you are able to, because basically you're traveling a certain distance and you're going very, very quickly, because that, charge is extremely quick. So basically, you will do a ton of damage too with these combinations. So basically, that's how you combo these spells together. You wait for some Uproar stacks, you press this, it slows them, then you charge in, you press your trample once you start charging in, and then you run on top of them and you trample them This is a combo, even with 1 point in each of these spells, that is so hard for the enemy to deal with. It's absolutely insane. It's so strong early. This is one of the strongest laning heroes in the game. And then even later into the game, it scales really well for starting team fights like I talked about. And then lastly, we are going to look at his ultimate Pulverize here. So Pulverize, pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and that you basically just click it on an enemy, you grab them, you stun them, and you bash them into the ground 3 times. So basically, we can see this over here next to the dummy target. If I grab the dummy target, I will also stun the axe here in the AoE and do damage to the axe. So it's a very good team fight ability. It's hard for enemies to really do anything in that AoE for the duration while you're stunning them. So it's a very good ability for that. So you can see how you can combo all of these together, in that what you'll do is you basically you can charge in. You basically just charge in, grab the axe, start bashing him. You know, then potentially press Uproar if you already have these stacks, so they're slowed. Well, I don't have any stacks now, so then I press Uproar, then I just start trampling people. So this is a great combination. You can also choose to, you know, pulverize last if you want. You don't have to pulverize first. You can charge in, you can trample, Uproar, trample, these kinds of things, and then pulverize from there. It's really up to you how you combo those together, but you can see how this is a really good team fight hero. There's also really low cooldown. So look at the cooldown here on this ultimate. Very low, especially at max level. Pretty low cooldown on this, low cooldown on his trample, low cooldown on onslaught. So you can use this constantly. You can use all these abilities basically twice a minute. You can constantly use these over and over again to initiate fights. You also have an insanely high HP pool. Look at me. I'm level 16, 0 items. I have 2k HP. This hero is ridiculous for the amount of HP that you have. You're very survivable, and you can use your abilities constantly in the game, but also multiple times in team fights. It's absolutely ridiculous what this hero can do. So that's pretty much his abilities. The last thing I will say, actually, is that at the level 25, he does have a talent that allows him to basically double the duration of Pulverize. So instead of 3 smashes, basically, you get 6, which is absolutely ridiculous. You can basically combo people down, kill them with that, full to 0. You can even kill, like, carries, mid laners, even some off laners occasionally, especially if you have any help from your friends, from the heroes on your team, and you will absolutely destroy people in the game. So that's how to play and combo Primal Beast and all of his spells together. Now let's jump into a game and see how he's played. So now we're jumping into a replay here of Collapse playing Primal Beast off lane, and basically I just want to show you how crazy this hero is early on. So level 1, you're not the strongest. I mean, you're pretty strong. You're hard to deal with. Don't get me wrong, but obviously all 3 of your spells are really good. So after you get level 2, level 3, this hero's going to be insane. But level 1, basically, he decides to take Uproar just because, you know, if you take a little bit of harass damage in the beginning of the lane, you can use this Uproar, then you get way easier last hits because of the extra damage, and you can threaten heroes in lane. So you can see that he used the first 2 ticks of Uproar, basically, that he got, and he just went to kind of go in on the Hoodwink there and harass him, and it's really hard for anybody to deal with you. He has 920 HP, level 1. This hero is ridiculous, and you can see how now he's taking some harass damage. He has 4 stacks here on Uproar, and he's about to hit level 2, and I just want you to watch what happens when he hits level 2. So he has level 2. He just skills it. Kind of is diving the tower a little bit here. The Ursa walks up next to him. He presses Uproar immediately and then trample, and very simple. Easy first blood. Like, the easiest first blood of his life. Not even hard at all. Uses a combination with the Grimstroke there. Diving the tower against Hoodwink. And the thing is, this is an Ursa. This is an Ursa that is supposed to be a strong laner. Like, there's absolutely no reason that this should be a possibility in Dota 2, but it is. So he uses Uproar again, slows, gets 2 kills. Obviously, the Ursa is getting some good harass. Now the Ursa respawn is full mana, full HP. But even so, he does get away because of his insane HP pool. He has 1,000 HP here at 2 minutes in the game. This hero is absolutely ridiculous. Then he can just clear the stack here, so they kind of like do a pull. It's 2 minutes in the game. He's level 3 finally, but he was level 2 and he did like a cut where he cut the wave and he farmed the small camp with like 0 HP. This hero is absolutely insane. Obviously, he's really high skill, dodging a lot of the spells, surviving on like 1 HP, but this is how crazy this hero is. Diving tower at like before 2 minutes, level 2, getting 2 kills. This hero is absolutely ridiculous. And I think that's just like the perfect way to describe how this hero works. You can obviously lane with the hero normally. Unfortunately, he does get his salve canceled, and this isn't the greatest thing that's happening now that he has such low HP. He does eventually go down because the Hoodwink follows him, so don't really worry about that. He did get kind of extra greedy. He did dive the tower, these kinds of things, but look at how many, he has 15 last hits. He got 2 kills. The Ursa has 7 last hits in 3 minutes. Like, this lane is absolutely crushed already. Now he's just going to respawn, full HP, full mana. He actually probably prefers that now. 1.14, he has 2 bracers. He almost has 1.2k HP. This hero's absolutely ridiculous. He's just going to come back to the lane and be an insane menace again. So you can obviously lane normally if you ever feel like, you know, there's really good enemy heroes against you and you don't have great laning presence or you're low HP like we saw. Sure, go back to laning normally. Buy some regen, wait till you regen up, wait till your cooldowns are back off, but like, otherwise, you can literally just do this every single game. You can dive tower every single game. You see he presses uproar, they're slow, they immediately have to back off. This hero is absolutely ridiculous early on, and you can pretty much do this and secure this kind of lane and stomp lanes like this every single game. And so that's pretty much the laning stage, and it only gets worse for the enemy from here because he doesn't even have a point in Onslaught yet. As soon as he gets a point in that, which he'll probably get at level 4, there's pretty much nowhere to be. There's nowhere you can be in the lane and actually be safe because he can just charge you. If you harass him at all, give him any uproar stacks, you're pretty much just going to be killed from anywhere in the game. Like, as long as you are in range of this onslaught, he's going to charge you and kill you. So really the only counter to this hero is just to not click him ever, not give him any stacks of this uproar. So you can see that if the solution to your hero is to not harass you at all and not contest you at all in the lane, you're going to have a pretty easy time laning. So, in any case, not to just keep rambling on about the same thing about how crazy this hero is in the lane. But, yeah, that's pretty much the laning stage. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. A really easy way to crush lanes, to stomp games with this hero. As we can see, he's going in on the Hoodwink again, and there's pretty much nothing they can do. So, in any case, guys, that's the laning stage for Primal Beast. Now, let's take a look at later on in the laning stage, or after the laning stage, transitioning to the early game. So I just skipped ahead a little bit here to about 9 minutes, and this is the point in time in the game where the laning stage starts to break down, and once you hit level 6 on this hero, you see he's 4-1, he had that one death that we saw earlier, and he just killed the Ursa like 3 other times. He can pretty much TP to wherever he wants. So the AM wants to go top because the AM was having a rough time bottom. The opposing team switches lanes as well, so there's a lot of lane shenanigans happening, but as soon as he sees any hero, and he has his ultimate, he just immediately charges, uses his onslaught with the charge, uses his trample, and then just grabs the enemy with pulverize and just bashes them to the ground 3 times. And kills them. You see, the Ursa just barely got level 6. He's absolutely stomping. He's top net worth in the game. And this is what your hero can do. Once you hit level 6, you can literally go anywhere you want and gank anywhere you want. You're almost like a second mid in the sense that you're not a typical offlaner where you're just going to, like, take the tower. You can do that. You can push waves. You can cut waves and take the tower. That is an option if it's something that you need to do if your other lanes are going fine. But you also can just... You kind of have a free reign in the game to kill whoever you want. Like, unless the enemy team has a ton of stuns and you're not going to get off a full duration pulverize, sure, maybe you don't want to go to a lane that has like a lion and a another hero that has a stun. Sure, you know, a few stuns is going to be hard for you because you can't stay on top of them with trample. You're not going to be able to use pulverize for the full duration, but you can see how like crazy he is. He's literally just running in to 3 heroes because he knows his hero is absolutely ridiculous. This hero is insane. He gets kills on pretty much all 3 of them here, with a little bit of help from, obviously, his team, but still, look at how ridiculous this hero is. Insane early game. This is only 10 minutes in, and he's able to basically 1v3. Now, obviously, it helped that his Grimstroke was there with the ultimate, but still, this hero just... In that early game portion, if you have a really good laning stage, which you pretty much should, you can be anywhere on the map. Anybody that you see, you are able to kill them pretty much full to 0. And you can even, like, dominate team fights like we just saw there in, like, a 1v3 or 2v3 scenario. Against a hero like Tiny, who should be pretty strong, against a hero like Techies, who does a lot of magic damage, and a hero like... Legion Commander, who also is very tanky, has a really good early game. So if he can kill all 3 of those heroes, you just know that he's going to kill any squishy supports, any intelligence heroes that don't do burst damage early on. He's just going to destroy them. So that's pretty much the early game transitioning out of the laning stage. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. You just want to try to... Obviously, you can defend lanes really well, so if you need to defend, you know, bottom or mid, do that. But basically, anytime you see anybody on the map, you could just like run at them and kill them. Look at this Legion Commander. This Legion Commander usually is strong against almost any other hero. He just runs in and kills the Legion Commander full to 0 because this hero is absolutely ridiculous, super overpowered. I know it doesn't have the best win rate, but I think people just don't know how to play it because this hero is ridiculous as we're seeing right now. And this is the perfect way to transition out of the laning stage into that mid game. As soon as you see anybody around the map, you can just charge at them. And then you see also that he goes bottom, he kills the Legion. Obviously his team is doing stuff top, but he immediately runs mid. You don't want to spend a lot of time farming. He kind of only farms camps in the jungle when he's like going back to base or something like that. You're mostly farming lanes because you are so strong, but also as soon as you see an enemy hero on the map, you kind of just want to run at them constantly because your low cooldowns are so, or your cooldowns are so low for all of your abilities. You can transition from one kill to the next extremely quickly because that's just the nature of your hero. Now, if you don't have HP or mana, like we saw that one time after the bottom fight, he basically goes back to base. So you want to be constantly fight ready, constantly high HP and high mana, so that you can always be fighting, and you're never really going to want to farm too much. If you're farming, you're mostly farming lanes, and then you're kind of just running at heroes across the map. That's basically how you play this hero in the mid portion of the game. Very, very strong, kind of crazy, insane how good this hero is early. You should be able to stomp and just take over and snowball games with this hero in most scenarios. So now I jumped way ahead here to 23 minutes, and this is largely because for the last 10 minutes or so, he's basically just been running around doing the same thing that I showed you before, where he's constantly team fighting. And now fights are kind of going either way. He does have an AM, so the AM hasn't really been able to get involved as much, but the AM's getting pretty strong now. But I basically wanted to show you this, because this is the perfect example of how this hero can be so strong in team fights. You can see he runs in basically 1v5 because he has his BKB up, which you're pretty much going to buy BKB first item on this hero almost every game. He runs in 1v5, pops his BKB. He's very, very tanky, hard to bring down. He has low cooldown spells, so we can see how his he basically is able to use his charge there, his onslaught, twice in a row. And he's able to take this insanely good fight. Obviously, they're ahead, but they weren't really that far ahead. And he's able to take this ridiculous fight, even though the enemy secured Aegis on their Ursa. He's able to basically secure the kill on the Tiny in the very beginning of the fight, and he's able to constantly use his abilities over and over and over again in the fight to secure a great team fight. And at the time, when he decided to dive for, you know, to go that 1v5 to use his onslaught to charge in, his AA and his Grimstroke were dead at the time, so they actually had to TP into the tower and walk there. So it was basically just him starting that fight off in the very beginning, going on the Tiny. You saw the AM go on the backline there, but still, it was basically a 2v5 essentially with the AM on the backline and him just charging into all the heroes. And this is really what this hero can do with all of his abilities and how he's able to do so much team fight control, charge through everybody. You can really have an insane impact in team fights like we just saw there. And so it's very hard to team fight against this hero in the way that we just saw there in that Roche fight. So that's kind of how you want to be thinking about team fights. You don't want to be too scared. You want to constantly go in, just front line, be a crazy front liner for your team, and yeah, just you are super strong. You're very tanky. You see he almost has 3k HP here at 25 minutes. He doesn't even really have any other HP items other than the BKB and the Bracer here. He bought an Ethereal Blade to help save his team, but also do more damage with his Trample, which is magic damage as well. So yeah, this hero is absolutely ridiculous. That's how you want to team fight. That's how you want to kind of, you don't want to be scared. You want to be front lining. You don't want to sit in the back, because that's going to just be bad for a hero. Now, you did see him reset when he had no cooldowns. You don't want to just constantly be clicking people. You kind of want to wait for your cooldowns sometimes, but still, that's the perfect example of how to team fight on the hero. Even when you're from, not behind, but when you have dead heroes or they're just respawning, you don't have to be too scared as long as you know your team's going to follow you up. So that's a perfect example of how to team fight with Primal Beast. So the next thing I want to show you is that although in, you know, the early part of the game after the laning stage, you're going to constantly want to be fighting and you're a huge threat. That's pretty obvious. You know, heroes like offlaners, they're really strong in the beginning. But even later into the game, 34 minutes in, he's going to solo kill this Ursa with his ability combo with not even having Uproar stacks. He just jumps in, stuns him, gets his trample off. Obviously, he has E-Blade, which does more damage to the hero. Doesn't allow Ursa to obviously click him, but he's obviously stunned for the duration. And then he grabs him with Pulverize, does a full Pulverize, and kills an Ursa full to 0. Let's just look at the Ursa's items. I mean, the Ursa doesn't have a ton of items, but obviously the Ursa has almost 2k HP. Ursa has okay farm, not great, obviously. They're really leading. They're doing really well in this game. But, like, That's the strength of this hero. This hero is absolutely insane. He even has like Wind Waker here. It's basically just BKB and Ethereal Blade that are really the offensive items that he has. And otherwise, he doesn't really have much else. It's not like he's building damage or anything. He doesn't have like a Radiance, which I've seen Primal Beasts go. And you can easily get pickoffs, solo pickoffs, even on mids, carries, like pretty much any hero in the game. It's absolutely ridiculous what this hero can do. And now we're just watching another crazy team fight. But yeah, that's pretty much how to play Primal Beast. Otherwise, there's really nothing else too special about him. Just use your skills in combo. You can get pickoffs later into the game. You want to kind of sit back later into the game. Once heroes have a lot of items, you want to constantly like go in and kind of restart the fight. So go in, use your abilities, then back off a little bit, almost like an axe, where you jump in, you call, then you kind of reset. This is exactly how you want to be thinking about Primal Beast 2. You don't want to just sit in the front and tank, almost like, you know, you don't want to play like a bristleback or something. You want to play more like an axe, where you're constantly reinitiating, counter-initiating, all of those kinds of things, like we constantly see in the fight. We kind of see him reset, then we see him come back in the fight once he has his cooldowns up, etc., etc. So that's how to play Primal Beast. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple hero once you really understand the combos, and then you just constantly want to fight, and you can absolutely dominate games. I think this is a great hero, a really fun hero, especially for newer players to play if you really want to just have fun and constantly be team fighting, brawling off cooldown, and dominating games, dominating lanes, and just snowballing the entire game. So that's my Primal Beast guide. Thanks everybody for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all of those kinds of things if you like the video. As always, go to my Discord if you haven't already. Join there. That's where you can request replay reviews, where I do replay reviews on Twitch every single Friday. Go to my Patreon if you want coaching or just to support me in general, to support what I'm doing here so I can make more content. And as always, if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, like I said. And as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.